Hello, Ritik. How are you, dear? You're the first one up today. Let me just clean my glasses a bit. Yes, Ritik. Yeah, good to see you here. Sonia! Sonia June. Hello, dear. Good to see you. It's a little crooked here, I think. One thing is missing here. A little bit of elevation, right? Am I kind of slanted this way? You guys see it too? Let me see if I can fix it. A little bit better, I think. Maybe that's okay. Or maybe just here. Does it look okay from there, guys? Or is it still tilted? Or maybe I should just go a little bit like this to compensate for the angle. Here's it, another trick. There, that should do it. So, hope you guys had a good week and sorted things out. Here we are again for another hour of discussion and see what's in your mind. Thank you, Ritik. So, while we're waiting for others to join us, I guess we can just chit-chat and say, how are things at your neck of the wood? Sonia, you are in, where are you located? I know that Ritik is in India. I forgot, are you in UK or are you in Canada? Ardeshir, San Antonio, thank you for letting me know where you're tuning in from. Sonia says, is Prince here? I don't know. Prince hasn't shown up today. He's usually one of the first. Hello, Enas. Enas. How are you? Ah, yes, Sonia. You're in London. Enas is also in UK, but I don't know where in UK. Good, good. So we can chit-chat about any topics that you like. Of course, if it's anything to do with thoughts, consciousness, ego, desire, and fears, anything about your relationship or your breakup, it would be perfectly fitting our agenda here. However, there's a little ant on the screen here. I gotta give it a little bit of a hurricane to move that. Just one moment. There we go. It has now gone to the islands for suntan because that hurricane would have taken it away. I don't like to kill ants, but I do need to get them out of my way. So, so that's the best I can do. Just blowing them away in a different way. So I hope that you guys have had a chance to continue watching the YouTube videos. YouTube has changed its little bit of it changes in their technical procedures when you want to trim a video. So I've been trying to figure it out why suddenly my browser is not supported when I go to trim the videos. Everything else works fine. So I'm in that process in order to trim more videos for you guys. Priyank, good to see you, dear. Namaste from India. And so it's been a little challenging the past few days. Every once in a while when I get the chance to see why, and I've put that question out and I can't find the proper help on the other videos, tutorials, to see why suddenly when you switch and you go to creative thingy to edit your videos and trim them to smaller portions, why suddenly the browser is not supported. So I haven't figured it out yet. My computers are the same, everything works fine. So I'll figure it out, because I need to always trim these live talks into question and answer instead of someone who wants to look for a certain issue or topic to listen to the whole hour. So that's my bit to make it easy for you guys. There is Prince. You've been missed. Sonia was asking about you. We were wondering if you're still on Earth or you found a rocket and went somewhere that is peaceful and tranquil and found yourself a wonderful corner in the universe, which we all do from time to time, and it's necessary, and that is in the form of meditation. We do actually take a break from all the activities of the mind and create that oneness with the nature and tranquility of the flow of the energy, and frequencies all shut down, and you become you without the watcher and the watched. And I hope you guys had a chance to take a look at my video called The Quality of Your Life, Watcher and the Watched, Observer and the Observed, Controller and the Controlled. That's a very good video which will open your eyes on many things, and you will realize that part of the biggest problems that we are dealing with, facing with in every day in life, and part of your challenges, is the fact that you are dealing with your own image versus you. So if you watch that video, it will shed some light to understand how you can get out of this consciousness and become who you are and see the world as it is, rather than constantly perceiving it to what it was or could be, rather than what it actually is, and identify and communicate, interact with what life is at a moment, rather than what life at a moment looks like what it was at some other time somewhere else, which that takes you out of your reality, of the actuality of life, and puts you somewhere in the past which doesn't exist. So therefore your movement of thoughts at that moment becomes a dead movement. It's movements in a dead real estate, dead field, because consciousness is all where everything dead is there. There's nothing alive there. So, but the thought is moving in the frame of consciousness, in the field of consciousness, the field of the known. But everything in the consciousness is already dead. So therefore thought, movement of thought, is in a field of death. There is nothing alive that the thought is trying to bring about new things. So everything that comes from the thought that is originated and grown in the field of the known, in the consciousness, is pretty much not an actuality. And that's what we want to get out of. And that's perhaps when you meditate and you become one with the nature, and all thoughts come out of consciousness, which there would be actually no thoughts at the moment to interact with consciousness or even create a further consciousness. And that is the time that you will find total oneness with the nature, and tranquility follows. A different frequency of life exists in that moment. I hope I didn't confuse you, but I think it was clear for you to try to learn meditation and see what it does when you meditate where you are. You will find you're nowhere and everywhere, and that's where you want to be. And always will learn how to focus to be with the actuality of life as you learn what it is like to not to be in consciousness, which then it means you're willing and able to see life and actuality and the happenings of the moment for what it is, rather than interpreting it and perceiving it what it was, could be, which throws you off from the whole movement of life. Hello, Farhad. Good to see you too. So, let's see if we have any questions here. We'll check what I have here. Something that I've had before. It's wonderful. It's common barberries put in water and kept in the fridge for a few days. Amazing. Also fun because then you get to eat the little thingies that are puffed up. Tasty. So, hello Parvinjan. How are you doing? Hope everyone is well at the wonderful happy place of Whittyfeed in India. It's always good to see Parvinjan here. Juan from India? Is it Juan or is it June? Must be Juan. So, are we going to have any question today? Or are we still figuring out what we want to say? I thought for a week you guys have had time to write down your questions. But looks like you come to class having not done your homeworks. Simha says, if there are only thoughts inside us and we can't separate ourselves from, from a thought, then why we are trying to solve problems which are also thoughts? That's a good observation for you to understand, which means most troubles are just thoughts. Why you try to solve them? Because you think of thoughts as actuality and reality rather than that it's a thought. Thought is a stupid. Thought has not necessarily a credibility. But because a thought comes about, it's created, it's presented to you in your skull, let's say, in your thoughts, which is in you, and you have respect and credibility and understanding of yourself as an entity who is truthful and credible. Therefore, you think what has appeared in your mind must have a basis of truth or credibility. Not necessarily. A thought often, if not most of the time, is just some extension of some kind of a perception and doesn't have necessarily any credibility. It's like saying that, and you think that the thought that has come about, you actually created it, and you had something to do, a lot to do with it. You wanted it to be there. You think all thoughts are invited. Not necessarily. It may have nothing to do with you, but it is part of the material process of the brain that constantly conjure up thoughts. Its job is to look for your security, creates conjure up things, and then think and believes it, and then goes after solving it. When to begin with, it could have been just nothing but the blow in the air. It's like you look at your TV or radio station, you open up the TV and you look at the channel, you don't like the program, you change the program. But just because this TV is receiving these programs, it appears, the program, the movie, or whatever it is, on its screen. Does it mean that your TV created that? No, it's just receiving it. And receiving it doesn't mean that it's of importance, necessarily, or you created it, you made it. A thought's the same. Your mind is a receiver. Ability to visualize, receive, and create, perceive, but doesn't mean just whatever appears in your mind, something you made or you wanted it to be there. So if you treat it as if it's credible because it's in here, therefore it means something, then you're always trying to solve things by another thought, another thought, another thought. But when you understand this is just a thought, irrelevant, like the particles in the air, it will clear up, it will go away, it's on its way, it always moves. I don't have to treat it as if it's here for final, I have to do something with it. Then you'll be more addressed. So let me read it again, see if I have addressed it completely. If there are only thoughts inside us, thoughts are not inside us. Thoughts are a material process that happens to be generated depending on all many different ingredients that comes to it, or happens to perceive it. It's a memory. Thought comes from consciousness. We've discussed how thought is born. So perhaps if you go back to one of my videos on YouTube about thoughts and consciousness, if you search for thoughts and consciousness and you watch that, you will understand the relationship between thoughts and consciousness. And then perhaps this question would become much easier for you to answer by yourself. There's only thought in us, and we can't separate ourselves from thought. Who says we can't separate ourselves from thought? That's the whole thing that I've been talking about just at the beginning of this session, how important it is to separate us from thoughts. Because thoughts come from consciousness, and consciousness is the past, so thought separates us from the actuality and movement of life and keeps us in the death of the past. So the life that we know of, we call it living, is actually death of the past, if we are always into thoughts that come always from consciousness. Yeah, and as I mentioned, not all thoughts should be taken seriously, and which many thoughts are just transient thoughts. In my book, Transient Thoughts and Me, which I'm sure many of you have had a chance to now own one, the paper version looks like this. And of course, because the paper versions of the books, this one or the Breakup Pain Handbook or the Me, My Psyche and I, they're all heavy books and they're thick. So the shipping of it caused it to be expensive. So I turned all the books into ebooks, and now, as you know, for the anniversary of our live talks, the ebooks are all now at the price of a coffee. No more $30 or whatever it was. So it's $4, $5, $6, something like that. So because I want you all to own one, just, you know, have less coffee one day and just get one of these and use it as a reference, because it explains to you. And one of the books is Transient Thoughts and Me, which explains to you what transient thoughts are and how they appear. And this concept of the television and the radio being the receiver and all that is also in there, elaborately discussed. So that would perhaps help you a little bit more to be more clear on what I'm trying to show here. Farhad says, what is meditation? Well, again, Farhad, it's an elaborate topic, but if you would please go to my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, and acquire one of these ones, not in the form of paper, it's heavy and expensive, it's $80, but if you go on the ebook section and get this one, I think it's $5.99, which is well worth it. It will explain it in detail, how to meditate, what is meditation good for, and all many other things. Just take a look at the table of contents of the book in my site and read a sample chapter, and you will be perhaps enjoying all the topics that are discussed there. And that could be a better reference than I go for an hour discussing that here. And of course you can use my YouTube channel, which I hope that you guys continue enjoying it. Anna says, I think about the past because I want answers. Yes. This is one of the topics of the videos that I have on YouTube. One of the reasons that you constantly go into your, one of the many reasons that you constantly go into your consciousness, keep thinking about what happened, whether it's your breakup or relationship, because you're not satisfied with how things were handled, and you want to fix something, you want to change something. You create that fictitious living or reality, because life is an illusion. Most things in life is an illusion. But the illusion that you focus on is the reality. So the reality is the illusion that you focus on. Whatever you focus on, you think that is what the reality is. Otherwise, if you don't focus on it, most of these are just simply illusions. So when you go into your memory, you're trying to fix something, repair something, and bring it to satisfactory standing of how you would have liked it to be, or you would have liked to handle it. And that's one of the reasons, plus the fact that you have the psychological security of being in the field of the known, which where everything is known to you, therefore there's no mystic or mystery, therefore you feel secure because all the answers you already know in the field of the known, which is the consciousness. And that's one of the reasons most of us daydream, stay there, and go through whatever it was happening and try to create a new reality out of that dead life, dead living. A little heavy, but I'm sure you understand. So now let's see. Priyanka says, how can we motivate ourselves more efficiently, more effectively through reinforcements? Elaborate a little bit on that. What kind of reinforcements are you talking about? Is this reinforcement of your friends or colleagues or family? What is it that you call reinforcement here? How can we motivate ourselves more effectively through reinforcement? So maybe reinforcement of, yeah, things will work out. I will be able to be successful in the endeavor that I'm, seeking and I'm pursuing. Perhaps that's what you mean. I would like a little bit more clarification on the question. Otherwise, I would be saying things that might not be addressing what you said. Perhaps I can say this, though. The way that you can motivate yourself is to focus on the understanding that everything changes and nothing is final. Everything changes and nothing is final. Like the waves in the ocean. No wave is the last wave that is coming, that created in the ocean. You may keep looking at the wave, but as soon as it is almost disappears, another wave takes its place. and your attention goes to that. So there's always changes. No wave stays as it appears to you. It constantly, if you follow it, constantly changes. And that tells you, and before you know it, there's another wave. So there's no wave is final and always is changing. So life is the same. Nothing is life is final, and always things change. Even, for God's sake, after we cease to exist, the form that we are in, nothing is final. Things always change. So, Farhad says, how meditation affects depression. I'm trying to meditate last couple of days, but I feel lazy to do meditation. Of course. Give me inspiration, tips to do regular basis meditation, please. Farhajan, meditation is trying to still a wild horse who's full of energy and curiosity and ability. And to tame that horse, to become your friend and walk beside you, not ahead of you, not necessarily behind you, but with you together, it needs a conditioning of you how to communicate with that horse, and that horse to be able to understand and trust you that it has a place to reside. It doesn't have to be jumping around every day, everywhere, here and there. Mind is like that wild horse, is always active because it is designed to be active. It's always processing, figuring things out. So it's always agile and all about, and often is panicking and trying to figure out what dangers could be facing you to foresee it and to remedy it and to fix it and come up with all this. That's his program. So to tame it, that's for years it's been conditioned to behave like that. But my goodness, if you condition yourself to, to have a instinct or reflex of boxing or certain movements, as soon as something comes towards you, you move, even though if it was just an offering a piece of cake, just coming to you, you move, because you've been conditioning yourself, and as a reflex, you do that. Now, the mind has been conditioned to be like that, agile, not relaxed, moving about, checking things out, worrying about things, for all your life. Now you want to meditate, and you expect it in 2 or 3 days, it changes its way. It says, yes, master, I will listen, I will sit, I will be quiet, I will be relaxed. It wants to because you tell it to, but its conditioning is different. So you got to be patient, create a new conditioning, a new order, a new understanding, a training. Train this horse patiently. You cannot force it, you cannot beat it. It's stronger than you, and it'll go on a temper tantrum. Be patient with it and continue meditate. But what I want to tell you how to do it is that don't try to meditate for half an hour at the beginning. Try to meditate for 2 minutes. And another 2 minutes, maybe an hour later. And whenever you feel like it, another 2 minutes. And the next day, after these 2 minutes, you feel naturally that is not enough. It's not long enough. Then you'll do 3 minutes. Or as long as you feel comfortable. And then you stop when you don't. When your mind starts wandering away, I don't know what kind of meditation you do, but in my book, Me, My Psyche and I, there is a complete chapter of how to meditate step by step, and everything is clear. And if you follow that, 2 minutes and then 3 minutes and then 5, before you know it, you're doing 1 hour of meditation and you're enjoying every bit of it, because that gives you that ability to be one with the nature and not in your consciousness, out of your consciousness, where thought is born from the consciousness. Thought is born from a field of the known. And when you're out of the consciousness, Thought is time, therefore time stops. There's a chapter about to stop time, and that would be also an interesting chapter to read. And when you do all these things, that tranquility and that assurance and that confidence that follows after meditation, because you have become one with something that is far bigger than you or every one of us, which is the universe itself, the flow of the energy of the universe. And that's the feeling that gives you that assurance, that confidence, that ability to feel and know that you can accomplish anything. And that's where you actually want to take a little bit of refuge, a little bit of a vacation whenever you feel like you need one. So meditation is very possible, but you gotta work it in slowly, you know? No matter how hungry you are, you cannot have the whole plate of food all at once in your mouth. You're gonna get a bellyache and you can't fit it in. So, but piece by piece, all that mountain of food will finish in time, and you'll digest it, enjoy it, and get all the nourishments from it properly. Ardishu says, thank you for your help. Oh, my pleasure, Ardishu. Good to see you here. Mike, let's see. I lost it. Mike says, hello Meran, hello dear. Do you believe in the power of the empath as far as feeling the physical discomforts of others? Yes, I do. I've had that for a long time, and I'm dealing with it and becoming more of able to control it now. But yes, and that's a pain in the ass, actually. Feeling the physical discomfort of others or emotional upset of others who we are connected to, receiving the vibrations of them. Yes, yes. It's very annoying, but it's your nature. That's why you're probably a compassionate person, and you feel the the resonance of others and their troubles, whether you know them close or you know of the situation around the world. You feel for things. You're one with the nature. You feel for it, and you want to do something about it. The helplessness of it, lack of power and ability to do something about it, fixing it, is that another pain in the butt. Receiving the vibration of them through the universe, connections to them. I've experienced this and wonder if it's real or coincidence sometimes. It can be draining at times. Thank you. Yes, it can. And that is why you need to meditate. Because, Mike, when you meditate, you're bringing in far more energy that you had before you meditate, becoming one with the source of the energy, which is abundant, never ending, that creates that reservoir of power that you are extending positive powers, energy flow. As energy flows from one end of the universe to the other and passes through you, you're able to, like a capacitor, it boosts it and enjoy, and that already helps not to be so affected, other than more than feeling for the discomfort of the others, but not be affected in your own well-being because of the humongous power that you've become one with and flows through you, and you're aware of this flow, which is stronger than the flow that is coming towards you from that resonations. It's like two rivers approaching each other head to head. One is stronger, one is weaker. The one that is weaker is going to fold back because the stronger one is going to change the direction. So you feel the troubles of others, and that's wonderful, compassionate person, but you don't have to stay there and allow that resonation or negativity to overcome you when you have enough powerful flow of energy, good energy, to overwhelm this that is coming to you after you recognize it, and help it to flow positive energy to that person if it's close proximity. Otherwise, you just simply flow that over the thoughts of feeling the troubles of the world, and then you will extend you extend energy. And the more you extend energy, the cleaner and more clear you become, and then whole balance will restable itself in you, and you won't feel that drained anymore. And every time you feel drained, just do a few minutes of meditation, you bring that energy back and settle everything. Again, do look at that chapter in my book, because it completely tells you about how to do the meditation, what it is good for, and all the effects of it. And you guys have no more excuse, because I remember reading and receiving lots of emails that we love your YouTube, and we've looked at the chapters, sample chapters on your site, and table of contents is amazingly lots of good topics we want to have it, but it's expensive. And they were right, you know, paper version of the big one is $108 and the others are $80, and because of the shipping and all that. But for that reason, even ebooks, these sort of comments would keep coming. I have now made them dirt cheap. No more excuses. There's no really economical agenda here anymore, because at $4, $5, $6, by the time PayPal gets there and marketing company gets their thing, there's really no economic agenda here. But I did it on purpose, because I want you guys to have no more excuses saying that money in India or this place or that place compared to US dollar, which these are sold by the currency exchange, it's too much, and it still makes it expensive. Now it's just dirt cheap. You know, a couple of, you know, tea drinks or one coffee, they'll do it. So please go get them, as that is now for you, and I want you guys to all have one as a reference. And many of you have taken advantage of it, and I appreciate that. I am happy to see that, because hundreds and hundreds of these ebooks now, since we announced the anniversary special price thingy is going, and I would like every one of you to have one. So whenever you're in the mood, just look at it and then see what it says, and I'm sure you will enjoy and find answers on there. I have experienced this and wonder if it's really okay. Yeah, we answered this. Now we have, next one is Simha. Simha says, is there anything apart from thoughts inside us? I say there is nobody inside us who has control over thought. So we as thought can control thought. Honestly, there is no way, right? No, there is a way. If you watch my YouTube channel, the video called The Quality of Your Life, Watcher and the Watched, Controller and Controlled, Observer and Observed, you will have your answer there. Thoughts are born in the field of the known, the consciousness. And yet, the thoughts are what has created the consciousness. So, is it the consciousness that creates thought, or is it thought that has created consciousness? So, thought is roaming around, moving about in the field of the known, in the consciousness, which is made by thoughts. So thought is roaming around in thought. So there's only thought. And if you can eliminate consciousness, well, consciousness is important for us to recognize things, know things, and use the past experiences to solve things, and, you know, not have to be redundant and all that. These are all important parts of it, that we need that, the memory and all that. But then when it comes to the part of constantly being trapped in there and not actually seeing the actuality of life, by seeing what it is for what it is and constantly perceiving it to what it is that we have of this sort in our memory, then it interferes with the actuality of the happening of life. Therefore, we're living life second-handed. In other words, we're always behind the 8 ball, one step behind. We see it, we perceive it to something else, so we miss actually interacting with the happening of the actuality. And then later on, we see something else, we're going to perceive that with this what happened today, that we missed it by perceiving it something else in our memory. So we're always catching up with the real life a little bit later on, using it as a reference to understand what is happening, but not really focusing on what that thing that is happening at the time that is happening. So, if you're able to learn how to keep your mind focused, trained to be focused on what is happening, rather than be distracted to go and find what similar thing to what is happening happened before, so I can understand what is happening based on what had happened before, which comes from the meditation learning to teach your mind focus. That's why meditation is very important. Then you will be able to live life as it happens, as it blooms, and not be stuck into your memory and have a life as a second hand. So your living will become real living for the happening in the moments, rather than your living be of the quality of death of the past, because you're constantly in the memory. I hope that answers some of your questions, part of your questions, if not all. Brenda, hello dear, good to see you. Simha says, you as a person exist there inside you, or it's just another thought that claims ownership of all other thoughts. Again, that is answered in my video, The Quality of Your Life, Watcher and the Watcher. Because consciousness is trying to act as your watcher, as the controller of your thoughts, because your thoughts are born from your consciousness. But then again, we know, if we go back to some of my other videos that explains how thought was created, then you'll understand that there is only thought. Consciousness is redundant. It has its uses, we discussed that, but in fact, it is the thought that is all there is. If you go back thousands of years ago, and let's just give it a little bit of a ambience, atmosphere, and anecdote, and just play the game to deliver something here. Let's say a caveman comes out of the cave and just learned that he can think, or he can understand things. It's just about that point of the evolution. And comes out and then somehow puts his foot on an angle on a rock, or it was a slippery, and it falls. And it hurts his knee or ankle. That action gave him an experience. From the experience, gained knowledge. That knowledge was stored, because we store things 24/7. We record things. It was recorded. And the next day, he does something else that gains from that action an experience. From that experience, knowledge is created. And that knowledge is recorded in consciousness. And over time, so many stuff in the memory, in the consciousness, is recorded based on the actions that happened, and the experience that was gained, the knowledge that was formed, and that it was recorded in the memory. And from that memory, new thought is born. A thought is born. For whatever reason, it needs suitable for him to think. wants to do something, create something, but all what he does comes from his knowledge, and the knowledge is stored in the consciousness, in the field of the known, where everything is known. So the thought stems from the field of the known. Yeah? And from that thought, an action. From that action, an experience. From that experience, knowledge. From that knowledge is recorded in the memory. And then another thought based on what's available in the consciousness, in the memory, is created. From that thought, action, experience, knowledge, and recorded. Thought, action, experience, knowledge, and recorded. So this whole recorded, the memory, is created based on a thought. And the thought, you say, you think, and we say that is created from the memory. But where did the memory come from? From the thought to begin with. After the initial few experiences that created the basis of it, then it's always a thought, action, experience, knowledge, memory. So the consciousness, memory, is created by thought. But now, the thought is blooming because of what's in the consciousness. So the consciousness is trying to watch over the thought. The consciousness is trying to control what thought you come up with. Yet the thought actually was what created the controller, the consciousness. So the watcher is the watched. The watched is the controller. The controller, consciousness, is trying to control what kind of thoughts, is actually made by the controlled, the thought. So the watcher, the controller, the observer, is redundant. It's all thought. So if you understand that, then you don't need to constantly perceive things. You see them as they are. And you go on. So in that way, you're one with the moment, with the now, with the present, with the actuality and the happening of the things in the moment of life. And that's living. Otherwise, if we think that the watcher, the consciousness, is where everything is, we're constantly roaming around there, which is all dead. So the living that we call living is becoming in the death of the life. It is the living that we call is actually death of the past. Death of the past is what we call living in that case. We want to get out of that and live with the moment as things are happening. Then we are living. So perhaps that is something that can answer some of your question. Hena says, thank you, you're welcome. Priyanka says, reinforcement comes in small package when we need them. Yes. I think we discussed that, Priyanka, I believe. And Priyanka says, I want to tell you that I always listen to you by closing my eyes, and I think my eyes also love what my ears hear. Okay, because you're visualizing what you're hearing, the words take shape, and that helps with understanding of what it is that you're trying to focus on. And that's good. Farhad says, thank you for your tips, and yes, I'll be patient, and yes, I'll see your YouTube channel every day. You have to say, thank you, Farhad. Thank you. Enas says, what is the name of the book that has how to meditate chapter? Oh, that's called Me, My Psyche, and I. It looks like this. When you go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, you will see the books. You click on them, whichever book you want. It has a little video about the book that I talk about what's in the book. It's about 2 minutes or something. Then you can click on the book, and the book opens for you, and you can see the table of contents, what things are covered in that book for the first few pages. Then there's a sample chapter that is there. You can read that sample chapter, and then you can choose the paper version or the ebook version. which the ebook version is a logical choice now because it's just dirt cheap now. You can get it, and when you get your receipt, once you pay for the PayPal and then a receipt comes to you, there is the name of the book that you purchase is in blue. You click on that link, that blue name of the book, and then the download takes place from your laptop. Best to do it on your laptop. But if you do it on your mobile phone, you may not be able to download it, but you can forward that to your laptop, forward that email, receipt email, to your laptop, then click on that from your laptop. Then it will download. Oh, the name of the chapter. I see. The name of the chapter, not the name of the book. The name of the chapter of that, I think it's called, this page 197 is called Meditation, chapter 32. Then page 204 says Our Mind and Meditation, the chapter 33. Then page 214 says Our Mind Needs a Home, that's chapter 34. Then page 222 is chapter 35, The Calm Mind. And the rest of it, the mind that seeks truth, and so on and so forth. And then chapter 38 talks about unifying the mind and body by living in the present. And there's many other chapters that you can just take a look at the table of contents and see which ones really do. And then we have there's one chapter here that actually I would like to see where it is. I think it's called chapter 42, page 251, To Stop Time. That's also a interesting chapter. Chapter 43, Thoughts, Mind, Physical Reactions, and how they are all connected. It's got lots of good stuff in there, and the chapters are enough, not too big, not too small, sometimes 2-3 pages, sometimes 10 or 12 pages, but it's just now. So Simha says, so consciousness and field of known are thought or memory that we collected over time by experience. The controller and controlled are the thought, then here thought. No, the controller is the consciousness. Controlled is the thought. That's the relationship. But yet, at the end of it, as I explained, just watch that, what I discussed it, you will see that is all, that the controller is controlled. Controlled is the controller. So it's all thought. It's all. That's what the point is. Where is Simha, to whom all this is happening? Simha needs to understand her center. The consciousness is your center, and what you've created is partly in the memory, but we're trying to see the present is because of the past, and the future is because of the present. So what you are is because of your memory, yeah? But you don't want your memory to be the only thing that determines what you are now and what you will be, because the now has things to offer, and the future, which hasn't come yet. When you're the future is the present. There's no future. There's no tomorrow. When it's tomorrow, it's today. So it's not like tomorrow is waiting for you to reach it. So it's all in here. So Simha is the center. And for that, you need to look at go to my YouTube channel, and there is a playlist called The Psyche. And you can go through it and you will find your answer there. Or you can read the book and that could be some help there. But this is one of those discussions that if we were having, I have a meetup group coming up in the end of October, and these would be good things to discuss there to clarify more. But in here, that's the only little time that we can focus, I guess, on this subject. Simha says meditation is a thought. Wants to get rid of thought. That's so funny. Will it possible at all? Yes, because meditation is not really thoughts. Meditation becomes an activity, a thought that you're focused on. That's why whenever you're playing a sport or doing something that needs your total attention, like you're playing tennis, basketball, soccer, or you're playing chess, or whatever it is, you're playing music, whatever it is that you're in action with it, which takes your full attention in order to continue that action and perform, that concentrates all your efforts, all your thoughts into one thing. That's why after doing these sort of things, which is total focus of you, it's like a meditation. You feel so comfortable. You feel so wonderful. You feel so, because there is no thoughts involved anymore. There is no other thoughts. There's only one thought. So meditation, you're bringing all frequencies, all resonations, all ripples of mind, which is activities of mind, to one. You can never bring it to zero, because that's death. So if that's what you're looking for, that's your answer. No. But meditation is to bring all these ripples, frequencies, resonations, movements, to infinitely imperceptible, infinitely decreasing imperceptible. Okay, let's say you want to bring them as close as you can to zero movement, but they'll never be zero, because then that would mean we're not alive in this form. So meditation brings all that activity to closest to nothing. So there is still a thought there, but the idea is not to get rid of all thoughts, because thought is life. You will always be thinking. It's like your heartbeat. It's like saying, I want to have a heartbeat without having a heartbeat. Well, that doesn't happen. So you want to have no thought. You want to have a thought with no thought. I mean, we're trying to diminish the number of thoughts to only one thing, and the least tasking one, which is like engine of an automobile on idle. It's not tasking, it's just there, and it's alive. That's all. And that gives you that ability to connect with nature and to create more energy and bring more energy to you, because all your focus is now on one thing. And that one thing is not really tasking you. So decreasing the ripples, infinitely decreasing the ripple of mind. That's where the meditation goes. So it's not really to get rid of all thoughts, to get rid of all thoughts about one. And that's what you're doing to create that. Simha says, I don't know whether my thought is saying or me, but I'm a big fan of you. You have helped me a lot, that's for sure. Thank you so much for that, sir. My pleasure, dear. I'm glad that you have been having an enjoyable time and feel that you've been expanding your understanding of things. So, is Prince there to tell me how far are we in time? We've been pretty busy today. I think we've gone over 1 hour. Somebody in West Coast, otherwise I gotta open my computer to see what time it is. Ah, yes. Perfect. Exactly 1 hour. We've done good today, guys. Lots of good questions, and exactly 1 hour. So, hope that most of the questions were answered clearly enough for you, and some of them maybe we didn't have enough time to elaborate, because some of them are really lovely questions, and all of them are good questions, but we can't go as deep as the books have gone, or as deep as the videos can go, or as deep as the personal discussions on Skype consultations. That you all know that if you go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, you will have the option of, the books and the seminars that I did. One seminar I did for one of the local universities about fear, the end of fear, which talks about time, thought, and fear. Very interesting one. And also, that there's a consultation, Skype consultation available, which I do that all throughout the week with people around the world. You go on that and click on the Talk to Me for consultation, and you'll see the packages. You'll make an appointment, and through Skype we discuss different issues that you may be having on your mind. So that's also available if you need to talk to me. And hopefully that you will get around to it and check out the books, because I want you all to have one on your reserve library and benefit from it. So if you all have done that, then I think you're in good hands, and at least you have enough ammunition to take care of the things that come up, and gives you a food for thoughts, vegetarian, food for thoughts. And hope you'll have a wonderful week, and thank you for all of you being here, and look forward to have another chance to have a chat with you next week. And tomorrow I have another live talk at the Facebook page of The Amazing Things in the World, and perhaps I see some of you there. Otherwise, next week, and until then, be good to yourself and to the others, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.